Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Theo and Derek. We are the Heels of Time coming at you live once again. Hopefully live if you guys can hear us because we had some weird stuff going on again. So we'll see how it goes. So obviously if someone's actually watching us say yes we can hear you, that'd be cool. If not, understandable. But we have a cool show for you guys today. I think so. I think so. At least, Derek.
Too.
What you think?
Yeah, no, I think this is going to be a good one. Most definitely.
So, going back to our format of comparing some literary folk of the Wheel of Time to some ancient folk, aka gods, goddesses, ancient cultures, and what have you. Today,
That's right.
We have Miss Artemis, who is an interesting goddess, needless to say. And we have an idea of a person that has potentially some of her characteristics, and that would be Birgitte, Silverbow.
That's right. So Birgitte Silverbow in Wheel of Time is literally depicted as being a hero of the wheel. And what that has come to mean to us is that they're either a hero of renown, like maybe Achilles or Hector, or they're maybe a demigod, like in the case of Hercules, or I guess arguably Achilles also, or they're a straight up classical god in mythology, like we've talked about Tiamat in the past, we've talked about Apollo in the past, and so on. So in this case, it appears that Robert Jordan is coming right out and saying, well, yeah, Birgitte Silverbow, yeah, she's straight up a hero from other stories. So one of the biggest, most glaring parallels in the classics that we see would be the fact that she uses a silver bow and she never misses. So I'm going to, with that, warming that point up, I'm going to throw it back to you, Theo.
That made it like fire hot. So needless to say, Artemis. For those of you that don't know, she is a Greek goddess, part of the pantheon of 12, or 13, depending on how you want to look. Goddess of wild hunting, wild animals, children to a point, and birth. Now, the birth part and children are kind of interesting as she's chaste on purpose. So it's more like literally almost like having like a midwife in terms of like the birth stuff. It's not like she's a fertility goddess of like Aphrodite. It's like at the end game for her, like as they're being born. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, it's very, very meticulous difference between all of like the little segments of how you get down, so to speak, if that makes sense.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So, yeah, she is an interesting one, needless to say.
All right.
She's been around for a while, but her bro gets a little more gratification because her brother's Apollo.
I was about to say, who is her brother one more time? Yeah,
so it would be Apollo.
So it's interesting. I'm just going to segue. This is not to take away what you're saying at all, but we know that Artemis in some way represents the night or the moon or some kind of closeness to that. It's interesting that we discussed that Apollo is like the morning sun.
Mm-hmm.
So they're kind of, have a bromance. They're kind of like friends, because, hey, the night's ending, the morning's starting. We can kind of hang out here, We have this gray area where we can hang out. So it's just kind of like from an astrological point of view, I think that's kind of interesting.
And hers is also like weird, man. So
yeah.
So like Apollo, he's like sun.
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
Now they're twins.
Mm-hmm.
So this gets a little crazy, bro. So they're Apollo, Artemis. Mm-hmm. And I guess I'm mirrored image, so it should be like this way. So Apollo's actually technically younger.
Okay.
Artemis technically isn't like a moon goddess. She's like, but not a sun goddess. She's like more like the dawn, like
Oh, really?
early morning.
So,
Or late night. I guess it depends on how you want to like look at how that goes, but
okay,
it's
I see.
funny. So if she's born first and then Apollo's like the sun, that kind of makes sense, right? They're kind of like one right after the other.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that gets a little nuts. Yes, obviously that means if you remember from Apollo, obviously she is a daughter of Zeus
Hmm.
and a Titan, Leto. So I mean she's super power, man. She's got some craziness in terms of her abilities. She's also, I wouldn't say a trickster because she's not a trickster, but she likes to play her, you know, I am Zeus's, daughter.
She plays that card.
Yeah. And everyone's like, oh, you're Zeus's daughter? So, okay, what do you want? She's like, I kind of want a weapon. So the Cyclopses were like, well, how about a bow? And she's like, hell yeah, I'll take a bow. Gets to that hunting. But of course, because she's a goddess, she doesn't miss. Like, straight up perfect. She's
Ooh,
money with that
that's
part.
that's really interesting. So, can I just hit a few
Yeah,
points?
I was leading you into that one. Go for
No,
it.
I appreciate it. So, she's kind of like born in the early twilight, I guess, right? Am I
I would
saying
say
that?
something like good
Something
enough.
like that.
Yeah.
Like before the sun comes up, though, right?
Yep. Correct.
So check this out. In the Wheel of Time, along this theme of like miraculous or strange births, weird birthing, how Birgitte is born into this age, the third age of the Wheel of Time, which hasn't been spun out yet. So technically, she's from another age, and this is when she's born. She comes out of the world of dreams.
Would make sense.
Yeah. So
Nighttime,
and when you wake up, and if you remember a dream, isn't that going to be the last dream you had, like early in the morning, late at night, kind of thing? So she's born out of a dream in the wee hours, so to speak. That sounds very miraculous and very Artemis to me. Uh, she. So here's something that's really funny. She is heavily associated and water bonded to Elaine. Okay. Now Elaine has this characteristic of she doesn't know she does it, and a lot of the times it's assumed like off page that she'll remind everybody that she's the daughter heir of Andor, kind of like Artemis reminds everyone that she's the daughter of Zeus. Well, the thing is, the water bond that she has with Birgitte in this case, they start to mirror each other's emotions. So in some ways,
that's funny.
so yeah, but so in some ways, Birgitte starts having these kind of daughter heir attributes, right? So that's funny. And then before I throw it back to you, I guess it's in the name, but Birgitte Silverbow, when she in legend, she carries a silver bow and fires silver arrows and never misses. When she's pulled out of this dream, all that really remains of that legend is this one silver arrow that she was somehow still able to hold on to, which is very interesting to me. So she is born out of a dream with a silver arrow in her hand. Okay, very interesting.
That is almost like perfect mirror image.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna throw that back to you.
Yes. So along with that, hunting and doing her thing, and of course, like I said, a chase goddess. Yeah, you don't want to look at her. Well, I'll get that in a little bit later. It gets a little complicated. So yes, obviously bow and arrow. She's got a quiver, spears, because you got to throw the spears at folk.
Oh, sure.
She sometimes depicted with some torches, which would also make sense because you got to kind of see, even though she's a goddess, whatever. Sometimes also depicted with a lyre, although she has nothing really to do with music. But if her twin bro,
Dude, no, stop it. You're giving me like, no. Just give me one more point before I say something.
All right. So
Yeah, go ahead.
So I mean, I was just saying in terms of Artemis. I wasn't saying in terms of Brigitte, but in terms of
I
Artemis,
know.
she's not a
I
musical
know.
person, at least
Hmm.
not per se. But the
Dude,
lyre
that's
was
the part that gave
Apollo's.
me. That's the part that gave me chills.
Ooh. All right. Well,
Y-
then something else down the road is going to give you some crazy ones. So she's usually depicted as young. She's not
Mm.
an old goddess, so to speak, in terms of how she's depicted. Not, I mean, if it was like a guy, it wasn't like a beard. So very similar to Apollo in terms of like age.
Mm. Well, okay.
Not quite adolescent, but a
Yeah.
little
All right.
older
So
than that.
so check this out. I'm gonna
Hmm.
go back to that
Yeah,
point.
go
You
for
said
it.
she's a chase god, right?
Yep.
So check this out. Brigitte is chase kind of. She carouses with dudes.
Exactly.
And she doesn't sleep around for the
Nope.
fact that she thinks men are generally just too pretty. And the guys that she goes for have to be like pretty gnarly, pretty scarred
Robust.
up, pretty weathered, let's just say. So I like that.
Hmm.
Now, the next thing you mentioned was, this is a weird one. She torches and music, but only sometimes. Well, check this out. Birgitte Silverbow, there's a legend of her going down to see the snaky foxy folks and what to try to get her husband or lover, Gatel Kane. She's unsuccessful, but she mentions specifically having brought torches with her along her journey. And guess what? She knew to bring music with her on her
Yes.
journey into the underworld
Impressive.
to try to keep the snaky foxy folks away. So what's also interesting about this story, which may not have anything to do with Artemis, but it's on the top of my head and I find it
for it.
very interesting. She also left a trail of iron powder crumbs, and that kind of invokes maybe a Hansel Gretel vibe. So
Right.
you gotta kind of watch out where the breadcrumbs are gonna lead.
Hey,
Oh gosh.
better not lead to eating of yourself.
Well, they didn't make it out alive, so I imagine,
Yeah, well, yeah.
in this case, the witch, got
Got
the
'em.
poor little kitties. Yep.
Yeah. Oops. So she also is like her head, like her, I don't want to say her crown or whatever. Sometimes it's a crown, sometimes it's like an animal pelt. A lot of times she's depicted with a cape, and that's usually of a deer, like a deer type.
Oh, that's cool.
One of her animals is the deer. So if you actually get some statues or something, you'll see her kind of like with the bow and arrow, or quivers or whatever. Sometimes
Right on.
it'll be interesting. Sometimes her headdress will have like a crescent moon up there.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
So I want to say that's like the dawn aspect, but of course you see the moon at night, but she's not a nighttime goddess, so to speak. Another one of her animals, you may get a kick out of this one, Derek, and just kind of this where myths kind of crisscross, is
Okay.
the circling hind, which was one of Hercules' labors.
Huh.
So he was sent to kill it, which if you
Right.
killed one of her animals, you're dead. So the whole point of obviously Hercules' labors was to have him fail because Hera's like, screw you, I want you dead. So he comes up and was like, Artemis like, what you doing here? He's like, well, I have to kill this guy, but I really don't want to, but I need to. And so she's like, why do you need to? Because I need to make a tome, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, oh, you know what? I'm telling you, you're fine.
Wow.
And he's like, she's like, so just tell everybody that Artemis says you're good enough. He's like, okay. So he goes back and says, listen, I met Artemis. And she says, I can't kill the creature, but I'm good enough. And they're like, the king was like, dang. All right, that's a check.
Wow.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do? You can't piss off Artemis.
No.
Because that would
really-
not be good.
Just tell him that you're good enough.
Yep.
I said so.
Yep.
That'll be
Yeah,
good.
pretty much. So
I like that.
It gets a little weirder. So you have bears that are also sacred to her. As far as I know, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember a lot of bears in Greece, but I don't know. a lot of birds, including a heron.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Uh-huh.
A heron?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow. So that happens to be Rand al'Thor's bird.
Yes.
So Rand
but
al'Thor,
what did we say Rand was?
we
One
said
of
he's
them.
Apollo.
Ah.
Apollo.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. That is really, really cool. That is very, very cool. So so how did he pull this off? Well, Birgitte Silverbow Artemis is bonded linked to Elaine, who Rand is very close with in the series.
You could say that.
So they're still very close this way. You know, they become really close pals in this series? No, but maybe Elaine is the stand-in for that part of the relationship, for example. Or I would even argue Avienda might be the stand-in for the closeness part, like of Artemis and Apollo. But nonetheless, man, that's really, really cool.
Yeah, I thought that was I was like, huh.
I mean, that just automatically means that whoever Artemis is in the story, they're going to be associated with whoever Apollo is.
Yep.
And that in this case, yeah, Birgitte is on the same side as the al'Thor team. So very cool.
So, needless to say, she has no children. Obviously, if you're a virgin goddess, you're not gonna have kids in that aspect. No like craziness of someone's like born out of her leg or crazy birth.
Nothing crazy about that.
No crazy birth. It was straight up nothing for her. Yeah, obviously she was related to Apollo, and that's happy days. So she does have Titan lineage, so she's strong. If you want to look at it from a lineage perspective, obviously
Right.
if your dad's Zeus and your mom's a Titan, you're pretty damn crazy in terms of
I would
skill
imagine.
set. She was, in terms of cults, all over the place. A lot of Central Greece, though. But all over the place, too. That includes, like, Crete, Rhodes, some other islands that maybe not a little less known.
Can I interject and
Yeah, go for it. Hell yeah.
Force a point here? I'm going to guess. I think we might have talked about this. I could be wrong. Her cults, they're primarily, like, female cults. Is that right?
Yeah.
So check this out. Birgitte Silverbow attracts, recruits, and assembles an all-female guard for Elaine. And they're not there because, we really want to serve Elaine. No, they came because they heard there's a woman captain general. So it's like it's the cult of Artemis,
Makes sense. So, obviously, there's a lot of folks that tried to get their way with her. Those people were not met with warm reception.
Oh, wow.
She was definitely not an ugly goddess. It wasn't like she's like nasty or whatever. She was actually depicted like quite attractive. So it would make sense that folks would try to do things, right? And you're seeing like this young girl for adolescent. I mean, like I said, she's not girl, but we'll say 20, out in the woods. She has her little nymph homies with her somewhere, and they're all like frolicking, and they're like do, dressed in like little tunics or whatever, and it's like, I'm a dude. I'm gonna like do some stuff. Bad idea. You're gonna get not necessarily killed, but when I said she's got some powers, she's got some powers. So there was a prince. He was like, dang. So he was looking at her because she's taking a bath. You already know that's a bad idea. Don't look at a woman taking a bath. That's a bad thing
Right,
anyway.
right.
But
Mm-hmm.
guess what? She caught him. And he was like, oh, I didn't really mean it. She's like, man, I don't care what you mean. So he's like, guess what? I love my deer. So now you're going to be a stag. Poof, made him into a stag, right? And he's like, shit, I'm a stag now. Well, remember when I said he was actually a hunter, like a prince, but he was hunting like out in the woods? Derek, what do a lot of hunters take into the woods with them?
Horses?
Horses? And
Dogs?
Maybe, yeah, dogs. So his dogs were like, there's a goddamn deer.
Oh, no.
I gotta shred this deer. So she didn't actually kill him, but his dogs did.
Ooh. Yeah. Murdered as he couldn't get away. Oh, that's ruthless, dude.
Yeah, so technically, no, she didn't kill him, but yeah. Some other folks, a couple giants, northern Greece, they tried to take over because they, hubris. Hubris is not a good idea either against the gods. So they literally, when I mean that, they tried to they tried to kidnap Hera and Artemis as their wives.
Dumb.
So that's first off, that's a bad idea. Hera, mega power. Artemis, mega power, and you're gonna, even if those two don't get you, say what you want about Zeus, bro, gonna put the hammer down, so to speak.
Right?
But so she's like, well, I'm gonna trick you guys. I'm gonna turn myself into a deer. And you're like, okay, what does that do? They're like, oh damn, that's a deer. We gotta hunt the deer. And just like when you have two people looking at each other, she's like zipping in and out, and they just had to throw their spears, and they kill each other.
Oh, man.
She's like, yep, whatever. So the one time she did destroy somebody, he actually tried to rape her.
Ooh.
That's not going to go well. She literally just was like, rain of arrows, just boom, slaughters. So... now we get to kind of a sad one. There's a boy. Legit boy. Little dude. Actually his was total accidental. Didn't actually mean to see her taking a bath.
Oh, no.
She didn't kill him, though. She just transformed him into a girl.
Into a girl?
Into a girl. So she didn't kill him, but she flipped him.
Bizarre.
Bizarre, but she didn't kill him because she felt bad, but you gotta have a punishment for doing that. And probably the worst is a person I'm gonna name him, but I'll wait till the end because I know you'll get a kick out of this one.
All right.
So he was a giant, and it's like cool. She actually liked him though. And this guy liked her. So this could have maybe been like her one dude. However, it was not meant to be. Because Apollo, they're twins, right? Brothers look out for their sisters. And he's like, nah, this isn't right. Not gonna happen. So he tricks Artemis, and she kills him. Because Apollo's trying to the way he did it is he tricked him, and it kind of made it seem like they were supposed to be hunting, and he's like, I'm a kick-ass hunter or whatever, blah blah blah. And so it almost was kind of like a hubristic kind of thing, or in some things they're maybe he tried to get on her, but that was because of Apollo. So Artemis was didn't really click on who it was and killed him. So she was super sad, crazy sad, oh shoot, what'd I just do? Oh no. And Apollo's like, haha. Not cool, bro. That one's a not cool, bro. That's like the one time I'm like, dude, you did some crazy stuff too, but damn, that was savage.
Yeah, that's ruthless.
So, because she loved this kid, I'll say kid because whatever, she decided to make him a constellation in the stars. And what constellation is a hunter?
Oh, Orion?
Yes.
Oh,
that's Orion.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
I'll let you take that because I know
cool.
you're like the constellation dude and that gets some crazy stuff, I'm sure.
The reason why that's very cool is when you rewind all the way back to the Sumerian mythology, which I am positing that Robert Jordan knew. I don't know how he knew of it or who knew of it from, but he knew the Babylonian version of the Sumerian stuff. That's how most people put it today, I guess. So going back to the constellations, why that's cool is that in the Sumerian or Babylonian constellations, the Orion constellation is called the True Shepherd. And we definitely associate that with Rand al'Thor. So the fact that this is kind of insinuating that maybe at one point, possibly Birgitte Silverbow could have, been hooking up with the Dragon Reborn, or the original dragon or whatever. To put it another way, though, like you said, she is associated with Apollo. Now in how they tell the mythology of Orion the Hunter who was slayed. But nonetheless, I really like to lean on the idea of Orion being the true shepherd and having that being the person that Artemis loses. Well, that kind of goes back to the Mesopotamian myths that we talked about, where it's kind of more of a seasonal thing. And the reason why I'm segueing all to that is to say, well, what is Wheel of Time? It's a cyclical thing, right? Mm-hmm. So seasons, ages, all together. So no, I appreciate that. I really like that. And that really cements Artemis, if you think about it, is actually being a character of rebirth. And because she has to be associated with this Orion character who has to die and be reborn. If you think about it, because every season you go from Orion being gone to coming back and so on. So that's really cool. I like it a lot. And I like that we have in Birgitte Silverbow a character that purposefully is said to be born over and over again. She seems to have done a lot of different activities. You said something earlier about her being young. Birgitte is generally depicted as being in combat and generally not living like into her old age.
Right.
And I don't think she's ever mentioned even ever having kids. So it all kind of, a lot of it fits. Yeah, most definitely.
So she also can punish women too. She's she doesn't like boastful folk.
Okay.
I'll give you one example. It's kind of messed up, man. Because again, if you're going to notice something, and there's a commonality, at least in Greek gods and Roman as well, if you have hubris, it's going to catch you in one way or another. It's usually like almost like an Aesop fable kind of thing. Like there's like a little parable up in there somewhere.
I like that.
This one is Niobe. She's like, man, I can give birth like a motherfucker, and I'm better than Leto.
Oh, that's a challenge.
Bingo. So, yeah. Needless to say, she decided to murder the daughters with her bow. Just, oh well.
Wow.
Yeah. Game over. Yeah, one dude was like, I'm a better hunter than you. Really? Nope. So you boast about your stuff, she'll kill you. If you say you're a better hunter, she'll kill you one way or another. You spy on her, especially if she's taking a bath, something's gonna go down. Let's put it that way. And yeah,
So
she got crazy powers that'll just let you do some stuff.
So I have a final thought for you.
Go for it.
Because I think that you said that was your last point.
I got one more.
Oh, you got one? Okay.
I got one more. Well, we're okay though. Is wacky.
Well, all right. Well, I'll throw this in before we get to the wacky point.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about this a lot, and we hope to get around to doing an episode where we just talk about the Forsaken and how they're very related to the Greek gods of Olympus. Well, I think the little naughty things, the little bad, evil bits of Artemis are woven into most likely Moghedien. Now, Moghedien is the Forsaken that is in the world of dreams. Now, Lanfear says she owns the night. She also goes in the world of dreams, but she's much more associated with the night and the moon. Just like Artemis, you said, is not exactly the moon. Moghedien is not either. She's much more strongly associated with the world of dreams. She is associated with spying. She also probably, I want to pick your brain at this at one point. I think she might be associated with that Arachnia mythology. So because she's known as the spider. Okay.
I mean, that would make sense. And she can weave, I'm assuming, of course.
And she can weave, of course, right?
Quote unquote, right?
And guess who seems to be her equal? Nynaeve seems to be her equal. So,
interesting.
Yeah. So for this part of the story, let's just say that Nynaeve accidentally spies on Moghedien in her abode, in the place where she's most comfortable. So, like, that makes her feel naked, I guess. So what's the punishment going to be? Moghedien was going to turn Nynaeve into a horse. Interesting, huh? You're like, well, homie, wait a minute. They can't do that in Wheel of Time. What you talk about? But remember, in the world of dreams, that's the malleable in-between place where all the crazy stuff from fantasy can happen. Right? So, in mythology and whatever. So she said, and I quote, well, no, I'm not going to quote. I'm going to paraphrase, actually, backtrack. She says, whenever you come here, whenever you dream, whenever you fall asleep, against your will, no matter what you do or try, you will become a horse. Your human thoughts will go out the window. You'll be a dumb animal. You'll be a horse.
I mean, it's a four-legged creature.
Four-legged creature. That sounds like it's not exactly the story, but that sounds like an Artemis punishment to me.
I would think yes.
And as fate would have it, do you know who intercedes? Do you know who saves Nynaeve's life from this horrible fate?
I can't remember.
Birgitte Silverbow.
Oh, well, shoot. Okay. I should have guessed. Duh.
So the story, it's all right. The story is tied together, you know?
Interesting.
So you have this, so think about this. And the point that Jordan, I think, I can't speak for him, but the point that it seems that he was trying to make over and over again is when stories are told over and over again, themes can even be shuffled up and mixed up. Deeds can be put on somebody else. The most famous one in the book that I always recollect is Tom Merlin.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, someday maybe people will say I was the one that threw fireballs and lightnings. And here we go in our version of these stories, quote unquote. Merlin is the guy that threw the firebolts and the lightning.
Yes. So I think this is going to be my final. It's not really a fact. It's more of a tidbit.
Oh, all right.
Because it's going to be a little hint towards upcoming episodes. Because there's plural in this one. So Miss Artemis, she is a character in a particular poem of an epic nature.
I like where this is going.
Called the Iliad. She is referred to the archer goddess. Makes sense, right? Once in a blue moon, goddess of the hunt or loud hunt, whatever. uh, of the wild. If you read Homer, there's always like a blah of the blah. It kind of like is good off the tongue. It kind of like makes you remember how
So
to like say things.
So he puts titles and epithets in there so that it flows.
So it flows with the pentameter and along with a memory cue, so he remembers how to get the right stuff down. She supports the Trojans. She's on the Trojan side. And there's a big reason why. I don't want to spoil the Iliad, but in the beginning, there's a certain really crappy act. There's some BS that goes down. And for a particular girl, is super savage. I know, Derek, you know what I'm talking about, I'm assuming. And she's like, oh, hell no. And that's totally not cool. And so as one king tried to hook some stuff up to one, totally pissed off some other gods and goddesses, including Artemis. So, needless to say, Artemis saved this girl. In a way, because he it was a savage deal, but it definitely sets up the entire poem. But she has a minor role in it. She's not like huge. It's not like, oh man, she's there a ton. But the beginning is pretty damn important for her.
That's awesome. And you have this alignment that's working out. Remember, I'm arguing that the Rand's army, the Dragon's army, those are the Trojans. I'm arguing that the Xianshen, those are going to be our Achaeans.
Right.
So the fact that Artemis is on the Trojan side and Birgitte Silverbow is on the side of the Dragon's army, that works out very well for me. I think so.
Mm-hmm. That's why I was like, well, it's not a fact. It's more of like a little tidbit of
I like that.
Some forthcoming things.
Well played.
So, in essence, man, I think that she, Brigitte and Artemis definitely align a lot. I'm not saying it's a perfect identical match, because I think as Robert Jordan, in our exploration of all the characters and different areas that he delved into, he merged a lot of people together, took a little snippet from here and there,
rearranged a few things,
rearranged some stuff, but almost the zipper effect of how people fit together.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
It's like it's very interesting. It takes a hell of a lot of work and research to do, because I don't think that you could just, if you just happen to make all of this stuff up.
No.
I think that'd be really, really hard to do, to make it align like this. It'd be crazy. So I think that this melding of everything is pretty sweet. So I think we hit so this too. What you think?
And no, I think we did a great job. And we're going to find as we go on that Robert Jordan, for whatever reason, even decided to make certain ancient cities and locations into characters. So we're going to talk about Egypt personified at some point, and some oddities about how some interesting geography has made it into the names of certain other characters as well. And that's going to be those are kind of odd to me, but I like it. I still like it, and it's there. And we're going to look for things that align with our theories, but
naturally,
we're not trying to ignore information. We're not afraid of looking at stuff that doesn't quite align. And actually, that's been quite fruitful. Sometimes we see things that are so polar opposite that it's like, oh, okay, this is why we didn't find what we were looking for, because he literally flipped every aspect of this story.
Yep.
So it's master storytelling, really, I think. And because he was able to, in my opinion, kind of re-bring this kind of stuff alive to a modern American audience. So
yes,
that's my 2 cents. I really, and I for today, I really enjoyed what you brought to the table.
Thanks,
I
man.
learned a lot today about Artemis. I really enjoyed it. I really liked hearing her relationship to Apollo and all that stuff. I hope our audience learned something today. If you're a Wheel of Time expert and you learned something, or if you think that we got something wrong, or if you love Greek mythology or whatever, please like and subscribe so that you can see us. Once we're around enough, yeah, maybe we'll have some coffee mugs or something. But right now, we're just still building up our base.
Yep.
And we're really happy for everyone that stops in by. So please like and subscribe.
Yes, please. All right. I'm good to go. Hope you guys all have a great week. And we'll see you again on the flip side. Bye, y'all.
And